And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't hate my belly in that moment. And then it's time to put pants on. And the whole vacation's ruined. My jawline, rounder than it used to be. It was the first time in a bikini at my highest weight. That hurts. I don't think body positivity is ever really gonna click. Tears streaming down my face. It wasn't enough anymore. And I text this girl and I'm like, F it. I decided to go. One of the best things I've ever done. I'm not living the rest of my life hating my stomach. How do I fix this? And this is what I found out. Welcome back to How to Be You, the podcast where I share unfiltered and unedited how I am just trying to figure out how to be myself so that you can feel more comfortable being you in the process. I'm Sarah, I'm your host. I am a body image coach and I'm eating disorder recovered. And today we are going to talk about the time in my life where I'd been through eating disorder recovery, gained a lot of weight, healed a lot of my body image, but to be honest, still hated myself in photos because of my belly. And I want to share today how I stopped hating my belly so that you can also look at yourself in pictures, look at yourself in the mirror, see your side profile when you're walking past a big glass shop window and not pick yourself apart, feel like you need to shrink or hate yourself in the process. And we're going to take it back to a time in my journey where I had stopped a lot of my disordered behaviors with my eating disorder, and I was already a body image coach. I was helping a lot of other women embrace intuitive eating and start to find a level of peace, and I had made a lot of progress in my own healing, but there was this point that I was stuck at, and that was accepting my belly. Now I'm going to explain to you exactly how I figured out how to accept my belly, but before I do that, I want to set a little bit of a scene of exactly what life looked like at this time. So at this point in my journey, I am a full-time body image coach. I have had my first round of clients and I'm loving the work that I do. I am totally talking the talk, feeling really confident in my body and in being myself compared to where I used to be. And I'm noticing that there's a level of holding back and not being my most honest self when it comes to my stomach. I notice that I really don't like how it rolls and folds in pictures, and I still post the pictures anyway. But if I'm really honest with myself inside, I'm not liking it. And it reminded me a lot of a client I had recently, 5-6 years later, who was struggling with the same thing. And she said to me, I don't think body positivity is ever really gonna click. Like, I can say it to other people, I can tell them to love themselves, and when I look in the mirror, I can't accept myself. I just wanna look at myself and feel like I'm actually beautiful. And it reminded me so much of this time in my life, and I'll explain what I explained to her to you so that you can get there as well. Now, at this time in my life, I go on a trip with my then boyfriend to Florida. It is February, about a year into my eating disorder recovery journey. Again, I'm super stable. I've gained a significant amount of weight, but I'm doing okay with it. February in Massachusetts, where I'm from, is very cold, but February in Florida is a lot warmer. And so when we go on this trip, I take my little carry-on suitcase and I pack my summer clothes. I pack tank tops, I pack bikinis, I pack jean shorts, a lot that I hadn't worn in many months. And I knew at this point that like my body had changed and I had gained weight. But again, in my head, I'm so okay with it. It had been winter for a few months, so I'd also been wearing like a lot of loose fitting clothes, layers, big sweaters, leggings, really comfy stuff in the winter time. But I think that, to be honest, I just hadn't really gotten a strong look at how my body had changed since the summertime. And it's perfectly okay that my body changed, but the reason I'm saying this is because we get to Florida. We have a delayed flight, so it's a bit stressful. We have to take a taxi from the airport that's more expensive than we wanted it to. We get to the Airbnb and like we can't find the lockbox, and it's just this whole typical vacation not being perfectly smooth that makes the kind of girl I was, super anxious, big people pleaser, super stressed out. So we finally find the lockbox, we get in the Airbnb. My ex and I are like, great, we're finally here. Let's just take a shower and go get some dinner. And I'm like, ooh, yay, exciting. First day of vacation, right? Like, I'm able to put on my cute clothes, put on some makeup, and feel like it's a special occasion. So I take a shower, I hop out of the shower. I take the shower first because I take longer to get ready. He goes into the shower. So I am alone with myself. I do my makeup, I feel really pretty, I put some highlight on, I put my hair up, it's really cute. I put a top on, I still remember what it looked like white, ruffly, spaghetti straps. And I'm like, okay, the little armpit little fat rolls right here, bigger than they used to be, but I'm okay with it. And like my jawline, rounder than it used to be in this shirt, but I'm okay with it. Da-da-da-da, typical body acceptance dialogue, right? Like I'm slowly learning to love myself. And then it's time to put pants on. And I try on the first pair of pants I brought, and I'm an overpacker. So I have like 45 outfits for a 4-day trip, right? So I have plenty of options. I try them on, and they don't even come close to zipping. And I'm like, oof, that hurts. But okay, I can problem solve this. Let me try on something else. I put on a different pair of jean shorts, don't even come close to zipping. And by the time that my ex gets out of the shower in his towel, he's like, why are you not dressed? And I'm like tears streaming down my face with a top and running mascara, but no pants. And I'm like, nothing fits me. None of my pants fit. So unless you want to go with your girlfriend to dinner and she's not going to be wearing pants, we can't go and the whole vacation's ruined. And I have a little breakdown. And I'd be lying if I said that I was perfectly okay with myself in this moment. Again, I had been talking the talk with body acceptance, but we all have moments where we feel like we're being set back or a new obstacle comes up. And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't hate my belly in that moment. I hated it. I was so angry. I was so angry and frustrated and sad that gaining weight, especially in my stomach, because the pants wouldn't zip over my belly, had stopped me from being able to do things that I wanted to do and things that I loved. So the next day, he takes me to a thrift store, and I begrudgingly buy some stuff that actually fits, and the rest of the trip is salvageable. But I am in my head about my stomach. And so I come home from Florida with pictures of myself that I didn't really like, but like at least I took them, and memories of being in a bathing suit where I felt really awkward in this biggest body because it was the first time in a bikini at my highest weight, but glad I did it. And I'm like, we need to figure this out. I am the kind of girl that doesn't take no for an answer when it comes to stuff like this. I'm not living the rest of my life hating my stomach. How do I fix this? Perfectionist problem solver comes into benefit here. And I ask myself some essential questions that I always ask my clients now. And when I have my clients actually ask themselves these questions, it really changes things for them too. So, first question I ask myself, why do I hate my stomach so much? Like, why is my belly being bigger or not flat something that feels like failure, shameful, and the end of the world? And the second question I ask myself is, who made me feel this way? Because with all the self-acceptance work I want to do, I feel like it's not me. I feel like I'm fighting myself, but I actually feel like the voice in my head might not be me. And this is what I found out. As far as why do I hate my stomach, and whose voice is that? The why is because hating your belly is highly profitable. And what I mean by that is that especially people in female bodies, our bellies are meant to fluctuate. Like through our daily life, because you go from empty stomach to full stomach, so your stomach expands, which is in your belly, and so you are literally bigger in the stomach. No one else is going to notice, but you can feel it. We have our stomachs fluctuate through our hormonal cycles. If you're biologically female, we have approximately a 28-day cycle where there's a significant difference in our body composition from our ovulation phase to our luteal or period phase, for example, menstruation. Natural normal has been happening for millions of years, but something we're taught to hate. And then throughout our life cycle, like women's hormones change so much, humans' hormones change so much, but especially if you're biologically female, your hormones will change from pre-puberty to puberty, which actually those hormonal shifts can continue into your early 30s from puberty, like your body's changing that whole time. And then in our menopausal era, we change throughout our entire lives. And so keeping your body and your belly specifically, where our uterus and our stomach are, and we carry a lot of fat as women to protect ourselves, keeping it looking one specific way and keeping it flat specifically is nearly impossible without heavy restriction or like a high level of effort and attention to detail there. It is not maintainable for most people. And so if I am someone who plants the seed of insecurity and makes you think that it's your fault that you can't keep it that way, and then I give you a product that'll help you have a flat stomach, that'll help you keep yourself small, whether that's a tummy tea we saw in like the early 2000s, or ab blasting workout plans, or that fitness influencer that's always a man that you follow on Instagram who's teaching you how to have a flat stomach, or low calorie foods at the grocery store. If I invent a product that's going to help you get to this goal that I created for you by creating an insecurity, cha-ching, I make money. So you hating your stomach is not just something that doesn't feel good for you, it is something that feels really profitable for somebody else. And that answers the question of whose voice is this actually? I can guarantee that the voice in your head telling you that you should hate anything about yourself, but especially your belly in this conversation, is not your own. It is most likely because of marketing. It is most likely a company or an industry, whether it's diet culture, weight loss, billion-dollar industries, billion-dollar industries, you need to keep in mind. They have taught you that you need to not like this part of yourself. And maybe you're thinking, no, Sarah, it's my mother's voice. It's my auntie's voice. It's my grandma's voice. It's my best friend from high school's voice. Who do you think gave that voice to them? Our mothers got it from their mothers, who got it from their mothers, and all of us have been influenced by some company or industry that benefits off of us feeling this way. And if you don't believe me, ask these questions in a slightly different way. Who doesn't benefit from you hating this part of yourself? You. If that voice was your own, it would be a voice that's actually going to give you something valuable. So the reason that we hate our stomach so much, and I tell my clients this all the time, is because it lines somebody else's pocket. And I figured this out post-Florida, and it blew my mind. Again, I am someone who needs to understand the way that things work in order to believe them. And this helped me actually believe that my body was okay as it was. Learning about female health and how our bodies are meant to change through days, weeks, months, and decades, and then understanding the industries behind it. This is so much of the work that I teach my clients, that I teach them in workshops and retreats, because we need to know it, but nobody ever taught you. You were raised in a system that has strengthened this voice in your head that doesn't actually serve you. So I go into the coming summer feeling, again, more confident than I've ever been, but still having to make the small decisions every day to talk back to those thoughts that have been so conditioned in my head. I always tell my clients something that someone told me years ago, which is very true, which is that the first thought in your head is conditioned. The second thought is you choosing to reprogram. So if the first thought is my belly's too big, or I shouldn't wear that, or I'm too big, or I need to lose weight, or everyone's judging me, conditioned thought, probably from a company or industry who profits off you feeling that way. Second thought, whoa. That's not my voice. That's not how I want to talk to myself. I'm going to recognize that my body's going to change throughout my life. I want to accept myself. I don't like negative self-talk. Doesn't feel good. That is the choice to reprogram. Congratulations. But I have to choose that voice every day. Over the years, it's gotten a million times easier. And I wish you could see, I don't care about my belly anymore. I have been a lot of different weights, and I have rocked the low-waisted, flowy, baggy clothes. I've rocked the bikinis, whether they're high-waisted, low-waisted, teeny tiny, or full coverage, surf suits with long sleeves, all the way down to the teeny tiny bathing suits. I've rocked all of them. It's not about wearing the least amount of clothing or showing myself the most. It's just being the most comfortable with myself and being the most free. And realizing that part of being me is being whatever version of myself that my body is in this moment. And that was life-changing to me. It wasn't so easy to get to that point on my own. After Florida, after the following summer, I went into that fall still feeling like there was a piece of this puzzle that was missing. And one day I go on Instagram and I see that a mutual, just like a random person that had followed my body image work, so I'd followed her back, she posts that she's going on this retreat, the self-love retreat in Costa Rica over the new year of that year with an influencer that talks about body image and self-love that I love. Her name's Mary. She's now one of my friends, but at the time, she was just an influencer I'd followed for years. And I text this girl and I'm like, have you been to her retreats? Looks amazing. I feel like this could be right for me. And she texts me back and she's like, I've never been, but I'm going. I think it's gonna be awesome. I've talked to Mary before and she seems really genuine. I think you should apply. And something in me is like, whoa, is this the next step? Is this the next level of actually liking who I am and being at peace with what I look like in the mirror? And I'm like, F it, I'm just gonna apply. Worst case scenario, I never hear back, I don't get accepted, or I choose not to go. And I think that applying is gonna have this delay of like, okay, you apply and it's gonna take her time to get back to me, right? I get accepted in 20 minutes to this self-love retreat that costs thousands of dollars, and I've never done anything like it, and it terrifies me. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to commit, I have to make a decision. I decide to go. It feels like I have to do it. It feels like I owe it to myself, and that everything I've done has led to this moment, and also that I've gotten to a point where more information, as beneficial as it's been to understand how diet culture and beauty standards work, like more information and doing this on my own, even therapy, it wasn't enough anymore. And so I sign up for this self-love retreat. I go. Again, I am the biggest I've ever been because I continue to gain weight through recovery and after recovery. I don't like myself in most of the pictures, but looking at them now, I'm so glad I had them because that was one of the best things I've ever done for my body image. Dedicated 6 days of work on yourself in a safe space, surrounded by 17 other women who get it, and someone facilitating who was just had been there and was through that part of themselves and was so perfect for supporting you. I came back from that retreat truly changed. I get off the airplane. I get picked up in Boston by my boyfriend. He's like, how's the retreat? I was like, it was incredible. And then my first thought is now I have to break up with him. Thank you for listening to How to Be You, a podcast where I share my story of learning how to be me. I promise that we'll come back to this cliffhanger in the next episode, but thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you're able to give yourself a little bit more body acceptance, self-love, and patience in the process of learning to be you today. So much love. I will talk to you next time.